Hello and welcome back to the Matrix Green Pill podcast. I am Hilmarie Hutchison, and today I am so excited to introduce Bas Kooijman, the CEO and asset manager of DHF Capital. Bas is a visionary entrepreneur who started his career at just 13. Successful tech and telecom businesses and later transitioned into finance to help individuals and companies achieve wealth creation. Bas, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Your journey has been nothing short of remarkable. Could you start by sharing a bit about your background, your early entrepreneurial ventures, and what led you to where you are today?
Yeah, for sure. I think my entrepreneurial journey started quite young. I came from a family where the hard work was always encouraged. My both parents were employees in their respective companies. They were working very hard. And I think that kids can do two things. They can follow their parents' footsteps, for example, if they are already coming from an entrepreneurial family, or you can do the opposite. In my case, I did not come from an entrepreneurial family, and I just saw what I didn't like for myself for the future. So I think my main goal was to build businesses and systems with my strong desire to work in IT all at the same time.
Fantastic. So you looked at the way your parents were doing things, looked at how hard they were working, and you said, this is not the life for me. I'm going to follow a different path. And then you began working at a very young age, starting your first IT firm at 16. That's incredible. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, for sure. My 16th birthday present was a taxi drive to the Chamber of Commerce, which was honestly my goal at that point, to finally subscribe my company officially. Was already making websites, sending small invoices for the 3 years before that, but not in a fully legal manner. It's very important to, of course, register your company, get your business banking, get your business logo. Even one of the Dutch banks awarded me a prize package of getting the logo design and website design and things like that, which is still a check I had on the wall of my first company for a long time. They wanted to encourage young entrepreneurs, and I was one of them.
That's incredible that such a big company would put that much trust in such a young person. And of course, that was an encouragement, as you say, but fantastic achievement at such a young age. What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced during those formative years?
I must say at the beginning, it's really tough because you might even have all the knowledge of your specific knowledge that you need for the job I was trying to pull off. So I started in IT. I really liked IT and computers from a young age. I had my personal computer around that time as well. Basically, I started to get a lot of interest into coding, into programming, into creating things online. I was born at the right time to be able to step exactly in that digital transformation at that time. I think it was just timing to be able to get in there. But then the second question is, how do people trust such a young person? So I think the difficulty I had was where people say, okay, I have an email server for my company, or I have other IT related questions. Can I actually trust a person that did not go to IT school, that did not follow the default paths? Can I trust this person with my IT solutions? Can I have him in my company? Making a website was one thing, but doing active system maintenance, that was absolutely a different level.
And then how did you overcome these challenges with people not being sure if they could trust a young person?
One of the things is that I quite quickly hired a team of professionals around me that were definitely older than myself, because sometimes literally age is just a number, but people automatically put more trust into that. So I got some colleagues on the IT side. I got some colleagues on the commercial side in the company, and I've run that company with 6 people for a couple of years. That team at the end made it work.
That was a very smart move to make, to surround yourself with older people that others would then be able to see, okay, this is somebody who is doing a real company. It's not just a fly by night. So that was a very good solution to a problem that you had. Then you decided to transition from telecom and technology to the financial industry. What motivated this shift, and how did your tech background influence your approach to finance and asset management?
It was a very big transition from my IT company me to telecom first, into the digital world of telecom, where we went from ordinary phone cables in the wall, as some people might remember, towards digital phones and, of course, mobile technology as well. And I did that for about 8 years. And what I really saw in the telecom space was that it's a 24/7 job. We had large companies. We had even the 112 alarm central number of Amsterdam and North Holland region under our management. And it means that if anything goes wrong, as a co-founder, you're responsible to make sure that that goes back online as soon as there's any form of disruption. So I found myself working day and night with all the ups and downs that comes with it. And when I was actually able to sell my company to a larger firm that really wanted to mainly work with my software that I developed over the years, I took that opportunity. I took a little break after that as well to kind of have a summer of nothing and choose what was the direction to go into. And I was already working very internationally with my telecom firm in 35 different countries, handling over 7 different currencies with my suppliers and clients. And I just saw this huge market of finance and this huge market of different currencies and currency exchanges kind of in a real life practice, that I decided to stay in a personal level first and later professional as a currency trader.
What a progression and what a big change from one industry right into a different industry. What was the vision behind establishing DHF Capital, and how has it evolved since you set it up in 2020?
I think the first part of the vision was not to work in the weekend anymore and on Christmas Eve, because that was the part that I was mainly looking for as a profession that kind of works almost 9 to 5 or 24/5 maybe. Technically, the markets are open, but the weekend everything pauses. And it was an industry that I really wanted to evolve in. Also an industry where I saw my technical skills coming of great use with all the, at that moment already upcoming algorithmic trading, nowadays AI trading. 2023 was the year of AI for many companies, and I saw that coming from a programming standpoint. I'm very happy that we established DHF Capital on time. We got some of the early investors into my trading strategy. This evolved into a firm that is now having offices in 5 different countries with a total about 70 colleagues all over the world.
That's incredible. That was phenomenal growth as well in such a short time. Now you were able to get closer to your vision. You said with your parents working all the time, you didn't want that. So you wanted to be an entrepreneur. And then you ended up in a business that you were on call 24/7. And you got out of that and now into something where you had a bit more control of your time, which is closer to where you wanted to get. Given your background in cloud computing and data science, how do you see technology shaping the future of finance, particularly in the areas of asset management and trading?
It's evolving extremely fast. As I said, 2023, almost every interview, almost every TV request or comment in any media was always about, what is AI going to do? Are people going to lose their jobs? Are things going to fundamentally change? My response was always like, the AI technology or the technology of having things done for people on the background was already there for a very long time. It just got more popular and more surfaced with the upcoming things like ChatGPT, where what we call the retail, the general population basically starts to know that all these kind of things are possible. I think that people are falling behind if they don't catch up quick enough or if they choose to ignore the technology changes. But as long as you are adaptive, if you are trying to keep learning in any field of work, and especially also in finance, jobs will just be increasingly in productivity, but stay technically the same.
As you said, when people started hearing about AI and it became more sort of common to talk about it, there was indeed a big fear of AI taking over the jobs that humans do. But as you just pointed out, the way to stay ahead of that is to keep adopting the new technologies. If those who know how it works won't ever be out of a job. So that is the secret to not falling behind, is to continue to learn, or continuous learning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the people who choose to push away new technologies or push away new trends, the moment they are adopted by the general public, that's kind of the moment you may not have that luxury choice anymore. It's when new things get too big to be ignored in the future. That's the moment that it becomes very interesting to make sure you know enough about it.
Exactly. Now let's shift gears a little bit. You've coached retail traders and mentored many in the field of trading and investing. What do you think are the most common mistakes that traders make, and how do you guide them toward success?
Yeah, I was very fortunate to be able to do that for a couple of years. It's, I think, one of my passions, from being a sailing instructor to a trading instructor to teach my wife how to snowboard. I really like to actively share information or share skills if I can. From trading perspective, I can honestly say everybody can become a trader. I can teach everybody how to trade, but it cannot teach everybody to have the right trader's mindset. 70, 80%, some might argue even 90 to 95% of trading is a mental game. And that's the hardest part. You have to learn your own risk management. You have to learn when to get out of a trade, more important than when to go into a trade. Those are the moments that greed, doubt, all kinds of other emotions are creeping around the corner that make people have bad decisions. Trading basically is buy for the lowest prices you can and sell for the highest prices you can. That sounds very simple. If you do just that, you will be pretty successful in trading. But the hardest part is to actually just do that.
I've always heard that you should not try to time the market. Does that go against your philosophy, or are you sort of in line with that philosophy?
It depends. There's people who then maybe wait to time the market till it's perfectly right. From that perspective, I do not agree, because you might wait forever for the best price. On the other side, if you choose to go into a certain market, it really depends on when you get in. So if you look at the S&P 500, a lot of people are looking into that as an easy investment. If you get in on the wrong moment of the S&P 500, you might pay for that for 2 or 3 years, even though on average it's increasing by 8% a year. But if you go in on a very high price, it can still be a wrong timing. If you want to go into the S&P 500 for your pension and you still have 30 years to go, or if you're saving up for your kids, the timing doesn't really matter, because the horizon of the time that you can stay into that trade or into that investment is long enough to make up for any timing issues.
Your book, Trading and Investing, explores the differences between public trading and investor patience. What key insights do you hope readers will take away from your book? I know we don't want to give away the whole book, but just something you could share, and how does it reflect your philosophy on wealth creation?
Yeah, I mainly wrote the book for traders in their first and second year, where you are learning maybe the technical part of trading, but not the mental side of it. That is coming with experience, it's coming with time. If you learn how to trade technically within maybe a month or two, it will still take you about 3 years to get through certain market cycles, through certain emotions. And the book is more about trading with that investor mindset, with the long-term mindset in place. Stay into a trade that you trust, get out of a trade, as in cut your losses short when you don't, and see your portfolio as your own investment. You are your own banker. It is a new way of looking into trading than just to make sure that you can pay rent at the end of the month.
You mentioned now about the mindset and the importance of mindset. Why do you think mindset is so critical in trading, and how can individuals cultivate the right mental approach?
I think it's very hard to stay on track with trading if you don't have a very clear goal. So one of the first things I would do also with traders is to make an actual trading plan. What is your start budget? What is your end goal? How long do you want to take to get to that goal? And to try to stay on track. You will have good days, you will have bad days. When you have too many bad days in a row, you should take a serious break, because the only thing what you're going to get is frustrated, emotional, making quick decisions, making wrong decisions because you make them potentially too quick, trying to chase the market. There's all this kind of emotions that are very much human to make. And that's why maybe machines nowadays are taking over slowly into automated trading, because they are making less of those mental mistakes that human traders might make.
For us as humans, the emotions come into play, whether that is being nervous of selling or impatient in waiting. So there's all these things that come into play because we are human, but being able to then control that thinking and control our mindset is what then makes the difference between somebody who's going to be successful at this and somebody who's not going to be as successful. Let's talk about the software that you've developed. It's called Infinity trading tools. This is a software that you've developed to help traders identify trends. Could you explain how this tool works and what makes it unique compared to other trading tools in the market?
It's mainly made to be a rule book of trading with the trend. You can use it on all kinds of different securities. So you can trade fixed markets, but you can also trade things like gold, oil, or even equity markets with it. The goal of this tool is to identify if short-term or long-term the equity or the stock that you're trading is currently going up and potentially going to stay going up, or starting to curve and maybe making a correction. So the main goal is to identify the trend in 30-second look. A lot of traders are trying to implement multiple different strategies together. I did that myself as well, tested it for over 5 years before I chose to start sharing the way I look at the chart and the extra indicators on top of that. So it's a technical trading strategy that helps people identify trends and also when to get out when you believe that that trend is going to be finished, even if it's up or down.
What advice would you give to young entrepreneurs starting their journey today or to aspiring traders looking to break into the financial world?
If you choose to trade for personal benefits as a part-time job, it's really great. It's absolutely great. If you have enough practice, I always advise people to start on what they call a demo account. It's every broker provides you with an account that has not real money in there, where it means that you can try your strategies, try your emotions, even though you know in the back of your head it's not real money, but you can try to grow that account first. You can learn from doing. That's very important. When you feel confident enough, you can try to trade with a number that's comfortable for you, that in worst case scenario, you don't get into trouble if that money does not plan out to go as well as you thought. So those are a couple of very, very important key basic steps. After that, there's a big question if you want to trade for an additional income, which is great, part-time, choose a longer term strategy and be able to make that $500 extra a month, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but it's nice additional income part-time, because full-time trading, making sure you're full-time able to live from it or even building up a long-term wealth, is also a full-time job. There, you're not trading as an investor, but you're trading as a person who would work in the bank as a trader, which is a job by itself. And I've seen people left their jobs going into full-time trading, and then after a couple of weeks or a couple of months, just deciding to go back to their original job because that was their passion. They learned a certain profession. Imagine you're a heart doctor. You studied hard for that. You learn how to trade. You switch to trading. You find out it's another job, and you actually always loved to be in the hospital. You love to help people, saving lives even. So I think it's very important to know where your passion is. And if I can teach everyone how to trade, but I cannot make trading your passion. So it's very important for people to understand if that finance perspective is the passion part, where it's sometimes also just a very interesting job to have. So it's a lot of questions that maybe don't answer it as a straight line, but it's very important to ask those questions to yourself and start part-time. It's always good to start and to try to learn something next to the day job that you may have at this moment.
I think that's excellent advice. Start using a demo account. Don't just go out there straight away with your own money before you actually know what you're doing. And then when you start the investing, start with smaller amounts. Don't bet the whole house when you're starting out. Start with smaller amounts and then build up. And then, as you say at the end, it's okay for it to remain a side hustle. It's okay for it to remain maybe a hobby beside what you normally do on a daily basis, unless it becomes your passion, where you absolutely love to do this every single day. So super, excellent advice. Thank you very much from somebody who's done it from on both ends. So I think that was very valuable. Now we've come to the segment of our show where I'll ask you some rapid fire questions, our version of a game show. Are you ready?
I am.
What is the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
Fermented shark in Iceland.
What is your go-to comfort food?
Probably burgers.
How do you start your day?
Looking at my trading account.
What is the best advice you've ever received?
If you're asking if you should start your own company, don't start.
Interesting. What is one thing you do every day, no matter how busy you get?
Drink coffee.
good. And good coffee in the Netherlands as well. Thank you very much for playing along. That was easy enough. Now we get to our signature question about your green pill moment. If you took the green pill to go back in time and change one thing about your journey, what would it be?
The biggest realization I had is when I sold my telecom firm after 8 years of really, really hard work. And this speaks not only to entrepreneurs and people who have been passionate into something for a very, very long time. For me, it was such a realization that I received a check that actually was a more than average salary for 8 years in one time. So I think the biggest lesson I took from that is that entrepreneurs really forget to take care about themselves in many ways, not only financially, but also in health, in family, in relationships. So I think it doesn't matter how passionate you are in building a business or doing the best at your job, working extra hours, chasing a promotion, etc. For me, I would really have taken better care of myself from a health perspective and from a financial perspective during the build. And they always can say easily, enjoy the journey of building a company, but I never saw someone enjoy building a company. They struggle, they go up and down, they are giving themselves the lowest salary as the company can afford or no salary at all. And health and personal finances and personal relationships may suffer. So biggest advice for myself as a learning moment would be to make sure that I would have done that better. And I always advise other entrepreneurs to really take a good look in the mirror and see how the other things next to your company or your career are currently doing and not to forget them.
Excellent advice to yourself. Excellent advice for our listeners, because oftentimes people look out and they think entrepreneurship is easy. It's the way to get rich fast. It's a life of luxury. And it oftentimes is not. As you say, all the challenges, all the hard work, oftentimes entrepreneurs put themselves last, take the least amount of money, as you say. So it's a very good tip or a very good insight that you've shared with us there. So thank you very much for that. And thank you so much for being here with me today. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and I'm so sure our audience is also going to enjoy this. You've certainly gone through a lot. You've done a lot. You've had a fantastic journey so far, truly inspiring, and a lot that we can learn from you. Before we say goodbye, could you please tell our listeners where they can find and follow you? And we'll also put this in the show notes.
For sure. I am still trying to be as active as possible on Instagram with my profile, Bas Kooijman. Still trying to share some nuggets and bits of my current life as an entrepreneur with DHF. And also there are some contact details for anybody who is looking for any advice or support to see what I can do with myself or my network.
I encourage our listeners to reach out to you if they have any questions, especially when it comes to trading. I'm sure you'd be willing to talk to them.
More than happy to help.
Super. Well, thank you again for joining me today, Bas. I really enjoyed this. I wish you and DHF Capital all the very best.
Thank you so much for having me.
And to our wonderful listeners, if you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, please like, share, and subscribe to stay tuned in for more engaging conversations. Your support means the world to us.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.